Welcome back to Grapple FK, everyone. Today we're covering Khamzat v Meerschaert on the 19th of September card. So the headline, as you can see, is Covington against Woodley. It's September the 20th in the States. Well, I guess here as well. It'll be early morning, but September the 19th will start. So let's go straight into this. It's a middleweight bout. Got the stats up. Khamzat's 1 inch taller. Reach. All right, Khamzat's given up 2.5 inches there. I didn't realize that. Khamzat's finished all of his opponents. He's 8-0. He's had 3 fights at amateur. We know all about Khamzat. He's broken the UFC record for 2 fights in the quickest time. He absolutely mauled 2 Brits, unfortunately. And Meerschaert is a very experienced UFC veteran who has mainly subs on his record, not many knockouts. But yeah, in terms of size, relatively the same. Well, what are your initial thoughts, Andrew?
There's a lot to say. Obviously, everyone's on the hype train for Khamzat. True.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's
motherfuckers. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, quite. So I'm not. Obviously, Khamzat's a great wrestler. I don't know if I'm quite on the choo-choo train yet for Khamzat, despite his mega dominant performances. Obviously, he has been extremely dominant, phenomenally so. But I think Gerald Meerschaert is going to be probably could be his biggest test. I don't know. And I'll say could be because, he has fought somebody else, a world Sambo champion outside of the UFC, who may well prove to be a more difficult challenge on the ground than Gerald. But it's an interesting...
I think Gerald is by far his biggest test, just because he's had, 40-ish fights. And he's had around 10 in the UFC. This will be his toughest test, I think. But yeah, that guy that he fought... he was also a Russian. Yeah, he was a world Sambo champ. He's a world Sambo champ, which showed because Khamzat couldn't get him down properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he tried
so
several times.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. He was shooting for doubles and then going for singles, but he couldn't get him down. Yeah. So he just ended up KOing him with 1 punch.
That was a great KO. Was it?
It was
uppercut?
Frightening KO.
Straight up the middle.
Yeah.
It was very nice.
With a hip twist. Perfect. But yeah, I think Meerschaert will be his toughest challenge. Very experienced. Quite inconsistent in the UFC. Recently he did lose 2 split decisions. His most recent fight, he got knocked out by Ian Heinisch. BJJ background, also a black belt in kickboxing. For me, Gerald is quite slow with his hands, in my opinion, striking-wise. He's quite slow, and he doesn't have power, which is where I think Khamzat may have a seriously upper hand on him, because Khamzat hits very, very hard in the fights that I've seen, albeit there were fights in less well-known organizations, but he has very, very hard kicks to the legs. And he can KO people standing, and he finishes people with ground and pound. So I think he's got more power than Gerald. And obviously he has a wrestling background. He's been wrestling since he was 5. Swedish national champion. I believe he was also involved in some kind of European championship. Very good wrestler. Good all-around fighter. Recently got his blue belt in BJJ. So he's getting up there in BJJ too.
I wonder if that's the only submission grappling he's done.
I don't think so. I think he probably would have done Sambo when he was younger.
Okay.
Everyone does Sambo in Russia.
I read his Wikipedia page. Apparently he's never practiced.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
That's very odd because he looks very comfortable submitting people.
How many submissions has he got? Let me have a look.
He submitted John Phillips in the UFC, and then he submitted a few other people outside of the UFC. He put someone to sleep in Brave. I watched that fight.
Yeah. I feel like anybody can submit John Phillips, to be honest. No disrespect to John Phillips, you know, our boy from.
Yeah, he hasn't got the best ground game, but still, a submission in the UFC is a submission in the UFC.
True. So he's got 2 submissions outside the UFC, but they're not against good guys.
Yeah.
So that's it. I think we need to delineate between, you know, jiu-jitsu and wrestling. You know, Sambo aside, you know, wrestlers, they're not submission artists. Jiu-jitsu, it's all about the submission.
Yeah.
This is where it's interesting because Gerald Meerschaert is very much a jiu-jitsu guy. Khamzat is very much a wrestler. And so it's an interesting matchup from that perspective. But just to talk about Khamzat Chimaev's level, obviously there's a huge amount of hype about his wrestling and his dominance. Submitting 2 English guys in the UFC might be giving us an inflated sense of his ability. Because Rhys McKee, he's not a grappler in any sense of the word. He got submitted.
He wasn't submitted, by the way. He wasn't submitted. He got TKO'd.
Okay, yeah. So he's not a grappler in any sense of the word.
Yeah.
The other guy, he did marginally better. So I think that's maybe a function of his strength. He was a middleweight. He's a bigger, stronger guy. And interesting in that fight, John Phillips, he managed to make a base. So Khamzat Chimaev had him against the cage twice in 2 different scenarios. John Phillips managed to get one knee. Is on one knee, it managed to get one leg up. So that's a base. And all he had to do from there was stand up, using the cage behind you as support. He very nearly did that 2 times. Now, this is only a minor thing. But I thought that was maybe something. I mean, John Phillips with no background, really. Of course, John Phillips, he trains MMA. I'm sure he does jiu-jitsu where he trains. But in terms of UFC, he's got no grappling ability to speak of. Of course, that's all relative. But the fact that he did that maybe gives me an inclination that maybe Khamzat Chimaev is not maybe that dominant. So I just think, and I'm kind of, you know, identifying things here to pick apart Khamzat Chimaev's game here, which is what we do when someone's like hyper dominant. But there's a couple of things there. Plus the fact that the guy he fought outside of the UFC, who you mentioned, the world Sambo champion, he tried to take him down several times and it didn't happen.
Yeah, he had very good defense.
Yes. And there's one occasion where the other guy did actually reverse it and got on top.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
To be fair, Khamzat got up immediately. But still. So I'm not sure Khamzat Chimaev is the absolute tour de force that some people might think he is. Did you think that's a fair comment?
I think that's a very fair comment. Two British guys, one from Northern Ireland, one Welsh. As many people outside of the UK know already, we do not have a wrestling system here. We don't wrestle in college. We don't wrestle. Wrestling's not really a thing for us here. It's more boxing. It's more boxing based. We do have BJJ gyms, but I think that's come to fruition over the last decade. We don't have the quality grappling that's seen in North America, Russia, and the Caucasus and Eastern Europe. So I think that's a fair comment. I think Khamzat, I personally think Khamzat will definitely not do what he did against Phillips and McKee, in that he will not rush to take him down. I think he's going to stand up in the first round and he's going to soften him up on the feet. I think he's faster than Gerald in terms of his kickboxing. I think he's got harder kicks and harder punches. And I think he's going to soften him up on the feet and then maybe possibly ground and pound him. I think he'll avoid his guard at all costs. It's not a good idea to get into Gerald's guard, in my opinion. But yeah, I agree with that statement. The thing is, people are talking about Khamzat's wrestling and his dominance on the ground and the ground and pound and so on, which is what we saw in his 2 first UFC fights. I've watched a lot of sparring footage of him against Elia Latifi, against Alexander Gustafsson, high-level guys. And there are fights in Brave, which, okay, isn't the best organization in the world, but he's had fights in Brave. He's a pretty good striker, very technical. He's got a lot of power, good kicks, good straight punches, good hooks, good uppercuts. And that's what I think we'll see in this fight. I think this is the fight where we see his striking. I don't think he'll go for the take Gerald down and ground and pound him in round 1 approach.
Do you think he could, if he wanted to?
I don't think he could take him down and finish him in round 1, no.
Okay, to go back to something else you said Chimaev shouldn't get into Gerald's guard.
Yeah.
You think Gerald can submit him from the guard? It's
possible. And I would check the odds on this, because if Khamzat is a stupidly favorite, I'm assuming he's a massive, huge favorite in this fight.
Yeah.
I would put something down on Gerald purely because of that, because I think Gerald could potentially submit him from his guard.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me if that happened.
Yeah,
the guy has 23 submissions.
Yeah, it's not, we haven't seen Khamzat in anybody's guard. We just don't know
exactly
what it's going to look like.
Which means it's a possibility.
Yeah. Yeah, but by the way, Khamzat's a -500 favorite. Massive.
Yeah, so definitely put something on Gerald down.
Yeah, the things. Let's talk about Gerald's ground game. From what I've seen, he's a very high-level jiu-jitsu guy. He often gives up position. He'll let people take him down. He's let people get position on him.
Yeah.
Presumably because A, he wants to tire his opponent out, like he did with Trevin Giles, or B, he wants people to just roll with him so they make a mistake, and then he capitalizes on that. Either he'll gain position, he'll take that back, or he'll see an opening for a submission.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to do it in MMA, because if you give up position, you allow yourself to be taken down, then you're at risk of being punched in the head. It's just such an interesting tactic, and on the one hand, it's really nice to see somebody that confident where they can do that. They don't think they're going to get submitted. They're happy to roll around, and they're relaxed. They're saving energy. That's really nice to see. But this isn't a jiu-jitsu match. This isn't rolling around in the BJJ gym. I feel like you've got to have some sense of urgency. And don't get me wrong, I love the way Gerald Meerschaert looks. It is rolling. It's all technique.
Yeah.
He's not wasting energy on these massive explosive movements. It's all beautiful jiu-jitsu. But at some point, you need a sense of urgency. If someone's on top of you, then they're winning the fight. Even if you're lulling them into a false sense of security, they're still winning the fight. You need to get them off you, and you need to be in a favorable position, or be attacking a submission. That worries me. And I don't think Khamzat is going to give him the space to do this. I think, if he does that against Khamzat, then he's going to get fucked.
Yeah, because Khamzat's got ferocious ground and pound.
Yeah.
Absolutely devastating. And he doesn't get tired.
But Gerald seems to me like, do you remember back in the early 90s when the UFC first started, there were no time limits? And then Then they introduced like a 30-minute time limit or something. And BJJ guys always had the advantage against wrestlers, because wrestlers can only pressure you for so long before they're exhausted, or they make a mistake and they leave themselves exposed. So at some point, the wrestler is on top of you. He can dominate you for, let's say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever it is. But at some point, he's going to get exhausted, or he's going to leave a limb hanging out somewhere. Then the BJJ guy exploits that and wins. That's what Gerald Meerschaert seems to be doing in his fights. But he's only got 5 minutes to do this. And he needs to be winning at least half of that round. and it's not the best game plan, to be honest.
No, it's not, and I don't think Gerald will win this fight. I think Khamzat will win it, and I think personally, this is my opinion. What he'll do is he'll strike in the first round, get Gerald a bit tired, and then I just think I think Khamzat can do whatever he wants, unless as long as he stays out of his guard. I think Khamzat can do whatever he wants. I saw Deron win, who's a 5'6" wrestler, collegiate wrestler, not even NCAA, slam Gerald through the air onto the ground. I think Khamzat could easily do the same to him if he wanted to. However, I think his game plan will be strike in the first round, because Gerald doesn't KO people. He hurts people, but I think Khamzat's got the speed advantage. Oh, by the way, that country should be Russia on this. I don't know what Chechnya is. I think they tried to spell Chechnya.
No, that's Czechia. That's the Czech Republic. He's not from the
Czech Republic. Why is it
Czech
Czech Republic? Oh.
Well, that's how the Czechs say. The name of the Czech Republic is actually Czechia.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they changed it recently.
Should be Sweden or Russia. Anyway.
They need to fire their marketing person, whoever does these pages.
We've spotted so many mistakes on this site over the last few weeks, haven't we?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, that's my opinion, I think. And also his record is not 2-0-0. It's 8-0-0.
Shocking.
I know, it's completely absurd.
Also, Gerald Meerschaert is not a light heavyweight. He's not 205 pounds.
Yeah. You keep going on.
What a bunch of idiots. Who does this?
I don't know. Fucking hell, this is really bad, isn't it? Well, at least they got the nicknames right and the spelling of the names. But yeah, that's what I think. I think Khamzat will win this. He's going in my cum, which sounds wrong, but cum means accumulator again. Gerald, I think, can only win via submission, but I just don't, as you said, I just don't think he has the pace that Khamzat has. I think Khamzat brings that Colby/Usman pace, slash quite serious power in his hands and legs as well. So I think Khamzat will get the win. I predict a second round finish, not via sub, probably TKO or KO.
Okay.
But I'll put something on Gerald, just because he's such an underdog in this. Heavy underdog. Even a fiver back will get you a good return.
Yeah.
Fiver down, sorry.
Yeah, for a submission, I think. Yeah, you mentioned Deron Wynn, who's a wrestler. Trains at AKA, very high level wrestler. Gerald Meerschaert beat him. He beat him with his game plan of just wear him out, let him do his thing, and then just take over at the end. Yeah,
Deron Wynn hurt him really badly in the first and second round. He had him on the ropes. At one point, Deron Wynn could have probably finished him, but he's 5'6". I mean, Khamzat's 6'2". And has a better wrestling background. He's just simply got a better wrestling background. You can't compare American collegiate wrestling to wrestling since the age of 5 in Russia to Swedish European championships. It's not comparable. If he was NCAA or something, then I'd say, yeah, it probably is. But it's not. He's got a better wrestling background. He's got more power in his strikes. He's bigger than him. He probably walks around at like 90, 95 kg. And Deron Wynn had him hurt. Had him really, really hurt in the first and second rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gerald Meerschaert lost to Jack Hermansson pretty quickly.
Yeah, by submission, right? Guillotine.
Yeah. Jack Hermansson's a BJJ guy. He's a grappler. He's not a wrestler. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. And yeah, he completely dominated Meerschaert. like really quickly, like Meerschaert didn't have an answer to anything that he was doing.
Jack Hermansson has very, very high level BJJ though. And I think that's the only submission loss of his in the UFC. Gerald's.
I think he was submitted by Cesar Ferreira as well. Let me check that.
I heard someone say he's only been submitted once in the UFC, or maybe they got the stat wrong.
Or did I imagine this?
His other losses have been KOs and decisions, split decisions, so on.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah. Yes, I'm just kind of unclear as to how good Gerald Meerschaert really is on the ground. I'm unclear just as to how dangerous those submissions are. I'm unclear as to what kind of game plan he's going to come in with. Is he going to do his usual thing of, you know, like rope-a-dope, but, you know, the jiu-jitsu version? Or is he going to be more active? Is he going to find more energy? I don't know. There's just a lot of question marks there. I feel like, you know, there is an outside chance Gerald Meerschaert can submit him. You know, there are unknowns about Khamzat. You know, how good is he really? I think we know he's very good, but is he world class? Is he Usman level? Is he Colby level? Is he Khabib?
Yeah.
Maybe. We don't.
Well, we're finding out in the next 4 weeks, mate, because he's got 2 fights lined up.
Yes.
we'll know within a month. Yeah.
It's a fascinating matchup. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. But for Gerald Meerschaert to win, Khamzat is going to have to make a mistake. He's going to have to leave an arm dangling somewhere, and Gerald Meerschaert is going to have to find a submission. No, maybe armbar from mount, triangle, something. And I don't know how likely that is. I'm going to say it's probably unlikely, because I think Gerald's going to have a difficult time when he's getting smashed in the head. And if he's mounted, what's Gerald going to do? You know, if Khamzat takes his back, or he's in full mount, or even half mount, and Gerald's got Khamzat in his half guard, I don't see what he's going to do. So yeah, I agree with you. Khamzat's going to win this. I think the odds are too short to put it in the come for me, because it's all risk, and we need, you know, some reward for that risk. I might also look at a submission win for Meerschaert if the odds are really amazing, because there's an outside chance of that happening. But yeah, my prediction, Khamzat Chimaev, probably TKO, and it could happen pretty quickly. Probably, I'll say maybe, I'm going to say TKO via strikes, via ground and pound in the second round.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think late in the second round, he'll finish him. That's my opinion. And just to pick up on one thing, and this is often not spoken about, mentality of fighters coming into a fight. We know Khamzat Chimaev's, you know, riding very high at the moment, unbeaten, smashing people. Gerald had an interview with Ariel Helwani the other day, about 4 or 5 days ago, and we uploaded it onto our Instagram, and he actually added it to his story. Basically, what we mentioned, Andrew and I, was that we really like his thinking process at the moment. He said on numerous times during the interview that I'm going to stop this guy. I'm going to hurt him really badly. They've overlooked me. They've underestimated me. And, you know, I like hearing that from fighters, because sometimes fighters, they'll see someone like Khamzat Chimaev and they'll think, fuck, I'm done. You know, I've got no way of doing this. So at least mentally, he's thinking he can pull it off, which is a good thing. However, physically, can he do it? I don't think he can. I think Khamzat brings too much pace, too much strength. He's got one punch KO power. He's got devastating kicks, and he's got a very, very, very good camp behind him, and very good trainers. One who's a former UFC fighter. I think they'll have a very technical game plan for him. I think Khamzat will pull it off and get this win.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, just to pick up on your point about mindset, I'm glad Gerald is pissed off that he's being overlooked here. He's going to
Exactly.
need that anger to actually do something. Because I think one thing Gerald typically lacks is that fighter's mindset where you actually want to hurt somebody. You need that for that sense of urgency. Because some fighters, they get a little bit too comfortable in there. You know, for them, it's just it feels like another sparring session. You know, they don't necessarily realize that they're in a fight. And I think that applies to Gerald sometimes, which is why he's quite lackadaisical on the ground. So if we see a different Gerald where he comes out swinging and, he's, challenging every position and he's trying to make life difficult at every point for Khamzat, maybe we'll see a slightly different version of him. But yeah, Khamzat's he's still going to win,
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I like Gerald, but I don't see how he can win this fight. I think there's a reason why this guy is called Balls, and Balls is Chechen for wolf. He is an incredibly aggressive fighter. He's relentless, and he's constantly looking for the finish, which is why he's 11-0, including amateur, and he's finished everyone. So yeah, I don't see, given that Gerald was knocked out in his last fight, I think Khamzat will win this.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anything else that you want to bring up regarding this?
Well, not really. You made the point about Gerald striking. He is slow. His boxing is pretty shit. He does have nice body kicks, but that's about all he's got.
Yeah, he does.
Around. Sorry, not on the feet. Sorry.
Black belt in kickboxing.
What, a black belt in kickboxing?
Yeah, you can get black belts in kickboxing apparently.
Not.
But yeah, his boxing isn't. So and just for some viewers out there.
So sorry to interrupt. Yeah. If you're at a kickboxing gym and they're giving you belts, go to a different kickboxing gym because that's fucking retarded. Go to a Muay Thai.
I'm pretty sure he's
gym.
got a black belt in kickboxing. Yeah. You can get black belts in Muay Thai and kickboxing and stuff.
Yeah, not from any decent coach. Anyway.
Well, he's at a decent camp, but plus he used to do taekwondo when he was younger as well, which is probably why he has good body kicks. But yeah, I don't see this going any other way. And just for the viewers out there, when we say someone has shit whatever, we're talking in relative terms. We're comparing to other UFC fighters. Jazz hands. Just before we get an angry comment, because people have commented saying, yeah. Sorry, carry on, Andrew.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we pissed some people off by saying people are totally shit. They have literally no ground game. It's all to emphasize a point. Of course, it's all relative. At the highest of levels, if you're fighting, a top 10 guy in the best organization in the world, some of these fighters, they look as though they have no ground game, and they do have literally no ground game to offer in that context.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, in the wider context of, other organizations, obviously they're very high level.
Oh yeah, I mean, they'll fuck us up. I mean, it'll probably take them 2-3 minutes to get to us, but they'll take us out.
Yeah, maybe like 10 seconds.
10-second story of my life, Andrew. What's it called? I just dissed myself. But yeah, I've got Khamzat, second round finish. And Andrew?
Yeah, same here. Second round finish for Khamzat via strikes.
By strikes. Well, there you go, everyone. Thank you for watching. Ground and pound. Well, he's an expert at that. Thanks for watching. Tune in for more fight predictions very, very soon. And take care. See you soon.